This Week in Business brought to you by Comcast Business, Beyond Fast.
Welcome back to This Week in Business. I'm Brian Burnell. Markforged is a 3D printing company, and just like everyone else, they have had to pivot during the pandemic. They're now creating face shields and cotton swabs for COVID testing, among other things, and they're helping manufacturers reopen safely as well. Joining us now with this story is Greg Mark. He's the co-founder and CEO of Markforged. Hi, Greg.
Hi, it's great to be here.
So, swabs and face shields, at least among some of the stuff that you're making now.
Yeah, that's right. No, as you mentioned, obviously the pandemic has caused massive disruption to many parts of manufacturing. And one of the things this did is it disrupted the normal supply chains. So the things that, our frontline workers relied on, such as like face shields and other sorts of swabs to do these NP swabs to do the testing for COVID, came in short supply. And so as a 3D printing company, we felt it was our responsibility to help respond to that and to quickly address these supply chain shortages and get thousands of masks and hundreds of thousands of swabs into the field.
Yeah, from the very beginning, PPE, that personal protective equipment, that has been in short supply. Hospitals have been talking about it. Frontline workers, police, EMS, firefighters, they've been talking about it, and you're helping fill that need.
No, absolutely. And then, when it's crazy because it's a simple device. When you think about a face shield, the amount of protection that you get just by screening your face from these airborne particles is massive. And being able to, what we have here is a 3D printed part. It's a little bit hard to see. This part is this black part is 3D printed all autonomously on a 3D printer, many at a time. You pop it off, you put the plastic shield on, and you're good to go.
It's kind of fascinating to me. Explain what you were printing before, and how has it been difficult to pivot to this to making things like that face shield?
Okay, so that's the magic of 3D printing. Right. So the magic of 3D printing is you have this beautiful box and it can basically create anything you imagine. Okay. So what that means is before this, we were printing, we're really in the supply chain optimization business. So we help companies ramp manufacturing faster, make their factories more efficient, bring jobs back to America, or build things locally. We've been doing that for the past 7 years, which is why we've grown really quickly. For us to change our production from tools and fixtures and assembly aids to make masks, or to make, we have here like a bag of hundreds and hundreds of NP swabs. That's literally the click of a button. You hit the button in software, you say, I want to change this thing to this new file. And now you have hundreds of 3D printers that are printing thousands of parts a day.
It brings to mind the effort in World War II where car manufacturers became tank manufacturers, that kind of thing. But as you say, much simpler with the technology you have available.
And so that's the beauty of software, and that's the beauty of 3D printing. We tell you that 3D printing is the fastest way to get, to get tooled up and get ramped up on a new product, on a supply chain shortage. And really what you're looking at is when the world's running smoothly, supply chains are great, but things happen. Okay, when those things happen, if you're missing one bolt, you can't finish your car. One bolt.
Right.
So that's where 3D printing comes in. It finds these gaps and allows you to print them and instantaneously pivot them, right?
What I picture as the big challenge for you then is more the specifications, basically writing the software to put it, to make it so that when you push that button, exactly what is supposed to come out comes out.
No, that's exactly right, Brian. And this is a systems problem. So when you've got to imagine this box, and what it's doing is it starts with a roll of either carbon fiber or stainless steel or titanium or aluminum, a high strength material almost implicitly. And it melts that material and it forms it into a shape layer by layer. When you look at this mask, it'll start with this blank canvas, this empty slate, which we call the print bed. And then this print head will come through and it will layer by layer trace out the shape. And every layer it moves up, up, up until you have this completed mask. And the trick, or the hard part in this whole system is getting everything. It's like a symphony. Okay, all the motors and extruders and temperature chambers and the bed, everything has to move together perfectly in unison in order for you to pop out a part that's high quality, reliable, and good enough for automotive or aerospace needs.
Are you providing printers to other companies, or are you doing the printing and then shipping from one location? How is that working?
So we've done both. So the first thing we did, the fastest thing you can do is ramp internally. Yeah. So what we did is we took, the hundreds of printers that we have internally, we partitioned the fleet off and started printing face shields and then NP swabs. But then what we also did, we have one of the things that Markforged has done uniquely in 3D printing, back 7 years ago, we brought 3D printing to the cloud. Okay, this means there's over 10,000 globally connected industrial printers. And we took the exact files, the exact design files that we were using to print these parts, and we airdropped them into every customer's printer and let them opt in and print parts. And we also sponsored some material to make it cheaper for them to do this.
Whatever the manufacturer of the printer, it didn't matter?
Whatever, exactly. So what happened is you have this network, and you can look at these dots on a map of thousands of printers around the world who can now print PPE instantaneously.
Are you learning something from this experience that you didn't know before?
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing, well, first of all, it was beautiful to see how many people jumped to, right? This wasn't like one company or one city or one town. This is like globally, we saw people printing PPE, supporting their local communities. It was a beautiful thing to be a part of, to be quite honest. On the same side, we've also learned a lot about supply chains. I mean, as a country, as a globe, like where the fragilities are, what we can do to support them. And a lot of that we're starting to design into our software. And we have some really cool programs we're actually working on with a few different people in the government in order to basically automate this process, to make it more easy for us as a people to mobilize these 3D printers to make the supplies we need in a time of need.
You know, it also makes me wonder, when you talk about supply chains, are you finding different materials that you hadn't thought of before? Because, well, we can't get this, but we can get this. And you know what? This works as well.
Absolutely, that's a great point. So there's so when you think about when you're making this material for this 3D printed resin, there's all these different input materials that you can use, and we've been able to basically modify and formulate things in order to make do with what we had.
You know, it's interesting too. I picture this, and maybe I'm wrong about this, so correct me. I picture this process being less susceptible to to social distancing. That, you know, if you've got a 3D printer, you can manufacture in a way that is socially distanced easier than a company with an assembly line.
So let me tell you something cool. One of the coolest parts about this, if there are any cool parts about this process that we've been in. So we make industrial printers, but they're portable, the vast majority of them. So we've seen hundreds and hundreds of customers take these printers home, run them at home. So a company, STS Aerospace, they had a print farm. They had where an operator was running 10 printers. He took all those printers home, continued to print parts for work, continued to do his job, but now he did it from the safety of his home. And this has been, we track material usage, right? Because all the printers are cloud connected. And what happened at the beginning of the pandemic, you saw the usage start to go down, right? But we normally have this phenomena where Monday through Friday, people print more, and Saturday and Sunday, they print less. It's on the weekends. What happened is people were taking the printers home, and we saw the weekend print jobs were going up, right? So in the way that we're all adapting as a people to live in this new environment, people have been able to take their work home, set it up, and they're small, they fit in your car, they fit in the back of an SUV, you can take them home, industrial strength printers, and you can print socially distanced responsibly.
So instead of going from, I created this company in my garage and now I'm taking it to the factory, we're taking the factory back to the garage.
You're exactly right, and it's not something that we ever foresaw possible. But to be honest, it's not so crazy because we do a fair amount of work with the U.S. Navy and the Marines, and one of the things they did is our printers were the first printers that they ever deployed in a forward operating base, right? And the reason they were able to do this is because they're super easy to set up, they're extremely robust, and they're easy to use, right? So they were able to take these things and bring them into the front lines, set them up and run them. That same transportability, that same lightweight, robustness, and ease of use has made it great for pandemics.
So take me into the future. As we wrap up this interview, what do you see a year, 2 years down the road? What are you learning now that you can carry forward?
I think we're all learning a lesson of distributed manufacturing. So there's this, historically, manufacturing has been very centralized, right? And and you look at Ford and you look at the automotive history, this said when Ford invented the assembly line, centralizing gave you a lot of economy of scale, but it also bakes in inherent fragility, right? You're now, and this is one of the problems we had with the nasal swabs, was that there are 3 factories in the world that made them. One of them was in Italy, right? And so when you have this high density of output, you're also very susceptible to shocks. So what we saw, when in this pandemic, with these thousands of distributed printers, any one site that you take down takes down 1/10,000th of the productivity, if you take down a state, you've taken down, 500 out of 10,000. You take down a country, you've taken down 2,000. But you have the majority of the printers, because they're distributed around the world, are still intact. And this is a powerful notion that a number of companies are starting to take advantage of. And so you're going to see more distributed manufacturing, more local manufacturing, and a lot more focus on supply chain.
Greg Mark, the CEO of Markforged, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it very much.
It's been a pleasure. Good to be here.
Good to see you. And up next on the Business Beat, college students begin to return to campuses, well, some mostly, with some changes in place. And the Worcester Red Sox unveil the team's new uniforms. We'll be right back.